Hi everyone, and welcome back to Blackwood, and another update on how the layout is progressing. So the camera's pointing at the latest motive power to arrive at Blackwood, which is this Graham Farish class 220 Voyager. I picked this up actually at Worley. I went to Worley for the very first time last weekend, travelled down on the Friday night, stayed overnight and attended the show on the Saturday, and it was a fantastic show. It certainly is the biggest model railway exhibition. It is probably about a quarter of the size bigger than the Model Rail Scotland, which takes place at the end of February each year. An exceptionally well put together show, and I had a fantastic time, and I did meet up with some fellow YouTubers. I spoke to Stephen Humphreys, who has his own N-gauge layout, which is Elven Home, and I also spoke to Bob from N-Trains. Didn't get a chance to speak to Richard at New Junction. He was rather in demand, and I also spoke to Dave from Cottesmore as well. So absolutely fantastic time I had, and just meeting up with some of the other YouTubers was absolutely brilliant. As I say, this was really my star bargain, maybe you could call it that. Graham Farish last made this particular model. I checked the catalogues, it was back in about 2013. It was available from about 2009 up to about 2013. Now it is in the latest catalogue. They are obviously going to do another rerun of it, not in the Virgin Trains livery. I think it's going to be done in cross-country livery, but it's not out yet. Now, when I actually saw this model, I saw it early on the Saturday, and at first I thought, well, that must be a second-hand model because it's not been available. It was at one of the major retailers. It was actually the Cheltenham Model Railway Centre. It was on their stand. So I had a look at it, and it did seem, the box seemed as though it wasn't a brand spanking new model. Got it home, and yes, I can confirm it doesn't appear to have ever been out the box. Where Cheltenham Model Railway Centre have had this, or where they've got it, I really don't know. I'm assuming possibly somebody has purchased this many years ago and has never ever taken it out of the box or run it, and then so technically I suppose you could say it's second hand, but it is actually brand spanking new. There's not a mark on it. It runs brilliantly. All the packaging, all the warranties, the small plastic bags that have the special drawbars that connect the coaches together, they were all totally intact. They'd never ever been opened up. So really pleased to see that model. So that is a 4-coach Voyager, so that's a class 220. There were actually 3 of these different classes made by Bombardier. That's, as I say, is the class 220. The 221 is the Super Voyager, and the 222s are the Meridians, which I think East Midland Trains use. So the locomotive itself, or the train itself, doesn't need any more coaches added. These class 220s ran as 4-coach units, with obviously 2 driving cars and 2 intermediate trailer cars. The Super Voyagers, they actually run as 5-car units, and as luck would have it, on my way home from Birmingham, it was actually 2 5-car Super Voyagers that were coupled together all the way up from Birmingham right the way back up to Glasgow Central. So that was kind of rather ironic that I had a model of the 220 with me on the way back up the road. Now, as you remember at the last video, I'd had a bit of a disaster with the the town section, and obviously I had shown the fact that the laminated card had warped. So the laminated card was all removed, and I obviously explained I've put it back in with very thin plywood. And what I've been doing is, rather than just essentially put all the old buildings that I had before back onto the layout, I've actually purchased quite a few new buildings, and I have been literally putting the buildings back on. The other thing is that the actual road section, if I pan up very slightly and bring this into focus, that road section there that runs back the way, it does actually slope down very gently to the bridge that goes over where Blackwood Station building is actually sitting. And when I put the buildings in the first time, I didn't in actual fact level them up, but this time I've taken my time, because most of these are new builds. I have in actual fact reduced them in height along the bottom. Because they're Metcalf kits, they're very easy to do. So when the kit starts off, before you put any windows in or anything, the three sides are laid out flat, and with a steel ruler and a knife, I've trimmed, put a slight slope onto the building, so that when it sits onto the road, or the pavement rather, the building is in actual fact totally level in terms of the back seam. So I'll zoom in, and we're starting off. I have purchased, as you can see, the department store. And as you can see, I've named it Grace Brothers, which is a throwback to the television comedy series back in the 1970s. I've then put in the Marks and Spencer's building. There are then a couple of buildings which are actually the original buildings, but I've been able to give them a bit of TLC. They've also been levelled up. Then again, we've got the mock Tudor buildings in. And then further along, we've got, I've made it the county library. I think it's advertised by Metcalf as being the local bank. And if I come back down here, it finishes off with the pub sitting on the corner. Now, what I'll do is I'll actually take this camera off just to show you the road area, because I've actually made a slight difference, or made a slight change to the road layout. So I'll just take the camera off. Okay, so I've taken the camera off the tripod, and the first thing that you will see is that where that National Express bus was, or is rather, in the old road layout there were actually two lanes as you approach this roundabout. Now I've actually reduced that now just down to the one lane, and the reason for that is I have extended this footpath here closest to the station, or the station buildings. I've extended it out, and that's to allow a lay-by, a loading lay-by to be put in here, and I'll explain what that's for in a minute. But if I come back, you'll notice that I've picked up, or I did pick up last Saturday at Worley from Scale Model Scenery, some N-gauge pedestrian barriers. Absolutely fantastic, laser cut. All you require to do is spray them with some grey primer, and then take them off the actual sprue. 1mm holes drilled into the baseboard, a little bit of PVA, and Bob's your uncle, you have really very realistic pedestrian railings. The other thing which I have done this time, which I don't know whether you'll be able to see, I will try and come around, possibly. Okay, I'll just pick it up there. Now that's at the corner. Now, one of the problems is with Metcalf paving slabs, it's fine when the paving slab is straight because you've got a kerb marked on it. I've always had difficulty when it comes to going around corners because you obviously you obviously don't get the kerbs going around corners. Now the way I've done it before is if I come round here and I pick up the corner there, the way I've done it is I almost cut the slabs out almost on an individual basis with an angle on it to try and give me a corner, which is obviously very, very time consuming, and it's not that brilliant. It's alright from a distance, but when you look at it up close, it's a wee bit messy. On this side here, I've tried a new method. Now, as you can see, what I've done here is I've actually just simply cut the ordinary paving slab and cut the curve right the way around. And then what I've actually done is I've actually cut the actual kerbs, which you can do off the Metcalf kit. I've cut the kerbs themselves, and then I've just simply glued the kerb and followed the curvature of the actual card, and it absolutely works absolutely brilliantly. I wish I'd decided to do that with a lot of my other sections of paving. So I've brought that all the way around. Similarly for, you can pick it up there on the lay-by. Fantastic, comes right the way along there. Again, you'll see I have put on the white lines onto the road, and this is obviously a loading bay, so hence the reason it's saying loading only. And as you can see, there is a post office van sitting waiting to unload or load its parcels and letters, etc. Coming further along here, I have also installed Oxford Diecast RAC van, which obviously, as you can see, has got the flashing lights. So that's from Kite's Lights. They produce these, or they take the Oxford Diecast model and they obviously add in the LEDs. That is simply worked from a small battery pack. You can connect it up to, it works off 3 volts. You can buy a special unit from Kite's Lights that will reduce your 12 volts DC down to 3 volts, or you can simply buy a battery pack. I've just simply used the battery pack because these lights won't be on all the time, and they use very, very little actual power, so given the fact that they're being run off batteries, they could probably run for quite a number of days, months before the battery would actually run out. As I say, come along there, you can see the Marks and Spencers. You can see there's one of the, again, that's another one of Metcalf's kits. Now it's a low relief kit, but I've actually made it even lower relief. I've cut it back so it's almost flat, and that's just so that it doesn't cover in the corner window of the department store. So as I've come back out, again, I've used the same method, and I've put in the corner here to join the footpath on to the path that comes over the first part of the station tracks. And again, when I come down here, as you can see, I've also again put in some scale model scenery pedestrian railings, which are again both sides of the station. Now, the other thing which I have been doing is, if I come back over here, in fact, if I possibly pan out, I think that would be probably better. I was talking to you about this area here, and I said I was going to have a sort of hidden platform at the back, and what I've done, as you can see, is I've made up the Metcalf wall back canopy kits. This one here is as it comes, not changed in any way, shape or fashion. This one here has been modified because obviously the platform at the back is absolutely straight, but the platform at the front starts to curve. So what's happened is these canopies here have been cut back slightly. You don't know whether you'll be able to pick it out, but it's these parts here. If you look there, if we maybe zoom in, you can see as you go along they get wider right the way back to the station steps, and that's so that if I come along and look probably from this end here, sorry about all this movement, there we go. So as you can see, the wall backs are absolutely straight, which are in level or being level with the or running parallel with the retaining wall and the straight section of platform at the back. If I hadn't cut them back, then what would have happened would have been the canopy that's closest to, as you're looking at it, would have actually hung out over the actual track, because the track actually starts to bend. Just come in and you'll see that I've actually moved back the stanchion that actually holds the canopy up, because it'd be too close to the platform edge. So as I come back out, as you'll see, I've also put the canopy, full canopy onto the middle platform as well. So it did not have to be altered in any way, shape or form. Again, it's been put on, and it really, if you come back here, starts to sort of even up the station, because obviously with the station buildings that I had being on the other side of the bridge, the platforms here were quite bare. So the fact that I now have the canopies on this side sort of evens up from an aesthetic point of view. The station looks a lot better. And also it does what I said in the last video, was it kind of hides this platform at the back. Now you'll see the clue, as you can see, there are some Royal Mail stroke parcels vehicles in here, and that's because I'm going to make this siding possibly a sort of a mail orientated siding for delivery of mail parcels, etc. It'll only very occasionally maybe see an odd DMU being parked into it, and that's why I have a loading bay up here. And what I'm going to try and do is scratch build a lift tower. Now this is obviously, I've just put in there, this is just a mock-up. These are just offcuts from some Metcalf kits. So forget about the windows, because there won't be any windows in it, but that will give you an idea. The lift tower will sit just about there, and then a bridge will go across, and I will cut a section out of the wall here, and that will mean that post office vans can come into the loading bay, stuff can be taken across to the lift, down the lift and onto the platform. And I think that will look actually not too bad, and it gives this sort of hidden view of this particular siding, because the siding sits in at the back of these two wall backed platform canopy kits. So that is essentially what I've been doing. Obviously I've had quite a lot of Metcalf buildings to obviously construct. I've done obviously the department store there. I actually repurchased the Marks and Spencer's kit. Actually that's not the one that I made up earlier. I've kind of rushed it and I wasn't really too happy with it, so I actually bought another one, and obviously it's all been properly made up this time. All the edges, I run some light grey paint, not watercolour paint down the white edges, so that you don't see the white edges, so that the edges become grey and they blend in a bit more. As I say, those two buildings there, the Brown and Muff, what a terrible name, but never mind, Brown and Muff, and the chemist next door, those are the original buildings from the original Blackwood town. They have been given a bit of TLC, and again they've been reduced so everything sits absolutely level. If I come back and you come down here, the town buildings are all sitting level. Although the road runs up a hill, the buildings all sit level right the way to the very end. And if I come right back and I come maybe down here, you can hopefully get an idea of what the station actually now begins to look like over the canopy tops of the platforms, the building itself, and then you've got the town buildings which are now looking correct. So that's about enough prattling on from me for just now, and what I'll do is I'll get this Voyager 220 running round and let you see that running around the layout.